Let us see. Are the people here? Live on Twitch. Live on YouTube. Hello. Can you hear me? You get ads if you go to Twitch? Probably. I'm pretty sure Twitch shows ads on all streams now on Twitch, whether they are partnered or not, or whether they are I think if you have, do they even still have Twitch Turbo or whatever that shit is? I don't know. But yeah, I think Twitch plays ads on all streams. I'm not partnered or affiliate on Twitch, so I don't control the ads, but I think you still get them. I do believe that the ads are turned off on YouTube though. I didn't even check, but I think I stopped turning the ads on YouTube because I mean I don't usually get enough viewers in the stream for it to matter. Maybe in the future, if I have thousands of people in here, I might turn the ads on, but it's not even worth it really. Anyway, hello everyone. Welcome to the stream. I have not streamed in a long time. But I thought I'd hop on for a quick stream this morning. I want to say that they show ads even if you are subbed to the stream, but I'm not sure. Because I don't know. I think Twitch kind of recently changed their policy on that because they're trying to find ways to make more money because apparently it is not a profitable company. Anyway, I want to get back into the groove of streaming because I used to stream quite frequently and then I just kind of stopped. Mainly because I was focusing on my main channel videos. But hopefully I can get back into the groove of streaming. We'll see though. I'm not gonna make any promises because I've made promises before and did not follow through with that. So, so how's everybody doing? Let me know if there's any issues. Oh, let me put some music. Just to make it a little more interesting. Too loud, sorry. Anyway, oh, thanks for the $10. Oh, what's up, Jay? Is that Jay? Appreciate it, man. I love T1J. Oh, what's up, man? Anyway, I didn't have anything planned for this stream. Just thought we could chill for a little bit. I'm gonna hang out with some friends in a little bit, so I'm not gonna be streaming for too long. But it's been a minute. Like it's been maybe not a whole year, but maybe something like 9 months or something since I last streamed. Hi, I'm new here. What's up, Manticore? Yeah, ads for all 12 of us. Make that cool, like 1/10 of a penny per ad. Want to hear a joke? I guess so, if it's not inappropriate. What topics am I working on right now? Well, that's a surprise. Saw your community post about moving away from politics. Do you have any specific type of content you're looking forward to making? I've liked your recent stuff a lot. I think it's I mean, I've kind of just opened up the scope of what I talk about, but I think it will generally focus around media and pop culture. But really, it's just anything I'm interested in, really. Anything that I think is an interesting story that I think people would like. So, it could be media, but it could also be something else. So, but that's kind of where I'm at with that these days. What's up, Franklin? I'm interested to see who's going to show up for the stream because I've gotten a lot of new subscribers since I last streamed. What do you think the left needs to do to become more strategic? I think the left needs to take more advantage of narratives. That's one thing that the right is very good at. I also think the left needs to focus more on building allies than enemies. I think that's probably the main problem with the political, or at least the online left, is they are hyper focused on making enemies rather than building allies. What's up, J&B? The homie from way on back. Greetings from Brazil. You can't tell I'm like getting over a cold. My voice might be a little deeper and sexier than usual. I was pretty sick a couple days ago. I feel all right today, but you're still kind of foggy the last couple days of it. Media and pop culture, yeah, not enough of that on YouTube. I guess that's sarcastic, but my goal is to try to try to come up with topics that people aren't talking about or stories that haven't been told before. Like I made that video about the Joe Schmo show, which has become my most viewed video ever. And it's just a really cool story that I just hadn't seen anyone tell before. So I want to do more stuff like that. But I totally understand if a lot of people subscribe to me for the politics and for the social commentary and stuff. So I totally understand if people want to move on. I've followed people that have changed the scope of what they do, and it wasn't really what I subscribed for. So that's how it goes. Did I watch the big sports ball game last Sunday? I did. It was actually a really good game. I feel like the Super Bowl has been really whack the past few years, but this one was pretty good. It was very cool, very exciting game. Especially as someone who didn't really have too much of a stock in either of the teams. I was rooting for the Eagles just because there's a bunch of people from Alabama on the Eagles, but it's I think Patrick Mahomes is working on like a GOAT career. So yeah, as far as the the politicians, the left-wing politicians, definitely, Jay, like money out of politics. They need to embrace the progressive wing of the Democratic Party and things like that. But I won't hold my breath on that. Money out of politics? Oh, sorry. May I share some plans, dreams, ideas I journal? I mean, it's your life. Do whatever you want. Are you gonna do something with Kidology? I mean, I don't know. Collaboration is a two-way street. I'm willing to collaborate with people, but just got to see what happens, I guess. Question, I love you and hope you have a great day. Yes. You have a question about your experience with YouTube and being a black content creator. Okay. You can just ask the question. You don't have to ask if it's okay to ask the question. The Joe Schmo show is where I discovered Kristen Wiig. I mean, I watched that show back then, but I forgot that she was on it until I, rediscovered it like several years ago. What you been up to though, Jay? If you're still in the chat. I've always wanted to visit Japan. I feel like it would be a huge culture shock, but it would probably be super cool. That's on the bucket list for sure. This is the vibe of a stream. Your voice is nice and the music is great. Well, I think my voice is a little sexier than normal because I'm kind of sick. I'm getting over cold, but maybe my voice is good in general. But yeah, this is my stream. My stream is very chill. I'm a very, very chill dude, so the streams are very chill as well. Yeah. What do you use for your locks? Absolutely nothing. It's 100% natural. It's just what my hair does when I leave it alone. Back in town working the vet. Oh, you're back in town. Cool. I was curious if you felt pressure to stay doing politics on YouTube. Like if you don't talk about politics, then the alt-right pipeline will scoop up more kids. Well, I felt a little bit of pressure, but not really for that reason. I don't have any illusions that my YouTube channel is gonna like save the world or anything. I get messages here and there from people saying that my content, helped them change their mind or helped them think about things differently, and that's cool. But ultimately, I just want to get the conversation started, or at least that was my goal, is just to get the conversation started. I didn't think that I was gonna like cause some kind of massive deconversion or whatever of people, but mainly just I thought that that's what people were here for, and that's really the only pressure that I felt, was I got to keep making this political content because that's what people want. But I didn't set out to be a politics creator. I didn't, I think a lot of other politics YouTubers, they see their YouTube channel as like as a part of their political strategy, a part of their activism. I didn't see it like that. I'm just a creator. I want to make stuff. That's why I make videos, because I like creating stuff, not because I'm trying to change the world or because I want to convert people. What's up, Benny? Thank you for the 20. How does it feel to be so awesome? Hashtag the blaze, hashtag xcow. What's up, man? I appreciate that. What other countries are you curious about visiting? I mean, all of them, really. I'd like to visit Europe. I'd like to visit Korea. I don't know. I just kind of want to see a lot of places. That's kind of like a goal I have once I have more resources to kind of just go traveling. Thanks for a lot of interesting ideas and videos over the years. I'm here for more cool stories, a person being genuine, and that being celebrated is worth amplifying. Yeah, and that's another thing that I want to do with my channel is I want to tell stories, positive stories. I mean, I don't want to pretend that bad things don't happen, but I do feel like there is a oversaturation of negativity on the internet, and I would like to do, provide at least a little bit of a counter to that. I know that Hogwarts Legacy has been talked to death online, but what's your opinion about the controversy surrounding the game specifically? Someone actually asked me this on my Curious Cat. I'm gonna read you what I wrote because it kind of sums up my thing, my idea, my answer. Let me pull it up so I don't have to think about it off the top of my head because I already wrote it down. This is what I wrote to someone else. I haven't played the game, so I can't speak on that aspect of it. As for the contents of the game, I know that people have said that it includes Rowling's version of goblins, which people have criticized as being an anti-Semitic stereotype. Also, of course, people don't want to support the game because of J.K. Rowling's transphobia. From what I've read, it seems very clear that the developers of their game, I'll get to that donation in a sec. It seems very clear that the developers of the game have gone out of their way to distance themselves from these controversies by including a trans character in the game and also including good-hearted goblins that aren't like evil or greedy bankers. In general, obviously, J.K. Rowling had little to do with the making of the game. People are talking about it as if J.K. Rowling personally sat down and created the game. This is a lot different than reading one of her books that she made all by herself, or mostly by herself. Games like this are made by a large team of just normal people just trying to make a living and probably also trying to recapture the magic of Harry Potter that millions of people fell in love with years ago before J.K. Rowling, went so ham. So if you're going to boycott the game to punish J.K. Rowling, just remember you're also punishing all those people as well. But ultimately, anyone who knows anything about me knows that I am a steadfast proponent of separate the art from the artist. That's something I've talked about so many times. I'm a 100% separate art from artist person. That's me. I know not everybody agrees with that, but that's me. You don't want to go down the road of I cannot engage with any media that any bad person profits from, even indirectly, because you're gonna have a bad time. You will not get to enjoy anything. For example, probably if you list like your top 10 favorite movies, probably at least 3 to 5 of them were produced by Harvey Weinstein. So you don't get to enjoy anything if that's the way you live your life. Of course, every individual has the right to play or not play any video game that they want for any reason. I don't like this idea that people are saying like whether or not you play this game is a test of whether you are a true ally. To me, that's just like bullying. It sounds like You know, people are saying you have to live your life and do whatever I say, or else you're not a true ally. That's kind of cringe. Judge people based on how they treat other people, not based on what video games they play. So that's my answer. Okay, so I got a couple of donations. How do I look at that? Ruport, thanks for the $9.99. I don't know if I pronounced that right. Benny, thanks for the 5. Let's get Kev the 250 at minimum. With the work he does, he deserves it. Well, you know, I appreciate it. If you can make a video about anything with 0 repercussions or copyright claims, what would it be about? I don't know. Actually, that's an interesting question, because my next video is kind of an answer to that question. I'll give you a little bit of a hint. It's about music, and you know, using music on YouTube is very hard to do without getting demonetized. So that's all I'll say about that. Jay, thanks for the 5. Stop hating Benz and get back home. You guys having like a donation war right now? Okay, I'm like way behind on the chat. Are you into Warhammer? I've never played Warhammer. I'd like to try it though. I play a lot of D&D though, and that's I have a lot. That's what I use my minis for D&D. All right, I'm behind on the chat, so if I missed your question, you can try asking it again, because I had to read that long ass response. But I figured I'd read the response because I'd already written it down. Did I ever watch Martin? Yeah, that show is amazing. One of the greatest sitcoms of all time for sure. But yeah, I've never played the game. I don't know the content of the game. What I've seen, and honestly, I don't even know that much about Harry Potter. I've read like the first 3.5 books, and that's it. And I agree with what you're saying, Andor Chadas. I don't know if I say that right, but I think she was just copying previous versions of goblins, which made themselves be anti-Semitic. I don't know, but I think, you know, her goblins are not that much different than what goblins have been shown to be in other media. But yeah, not to defend J.K. Rowling, because she is a pretty clear transphobe. I think that's pretty undeniable at this point, and that's sad. That's not great. But yeah, in general, you don't get to enjoy anything if you don't separate the art from the artist, or else you're just going to be very inconsistent. I could probably trace any piece of media that you like to at least one shitty person. I've never spoken it aloud myself. At the end of the day, though, each person do whatever you want, you know, do the things that are commensurate with your values, but I think it's cringe to try to dictate what other people do. That's the main thing. Yeah, Notch is a great example. Every 90% of people have probably played Minecraft, but and Notch is, I don't know what Notch is up to, what he has done, lately, but I've seen some of the shit he said. What is concerning D&D? What is an interesting story you recall during a campaign? An interesting story? I don't know. There's tons of interesting stories. I don't know. It's hard to talk about without getting real deep into the weeds. I recently ran Storm King's Thunder, which is a officially published campaign, and I added a bunch of homebrew to it, but it's about kind of like this war between the giants, and the group of adventurers gets like involved in it. It's pretty cool story. Like the king of the giants gets kidnapped, and you have to find out, and there's like this cult that kidnapped him. It gets really weird, but yeah. Do you have advice engaging with people like that? With people like what that try to dictate your life? I agree with you in general, but it's worth pointing out that Notch gets nothing from the game and has been excised from the credits due to his behavior. Oh, okay. I mean, I didn't even know that, really. I assumed that he would still be making money from it. Benny, thank you for the 5. What are your thoughts on Monopoly? Do you like business-based games? Every time I play Monopoly, it takes too long. That's the main problem with Monopoly. Overall, I think it's a fun game though. I don't know that I have played too many business-based games though. There's a game, I forgot what it's called, but there's a game that's supposed to be kind of like Monopoly, except it fixes a lot of the problems with it. I can't even think of it right now though, so I'm not even gonna try. If they're trans, do be careful calling them bullies. They probably get bullied every day. Well, two things can be true. If someone is a bully, then they can be called a bully. You can be a bully and be bullied at the same time. Two things can be true. I'm not calling any specific person out, but if you are exhibiting bullyish behavior, then it is fine, justifiable to call you a bully, regardless of your status or identity. And with Benny, what you playing with? Always Thimble. I'm always Thimble. Ever seen any silent films? Not too many actually, but yeah, I've seen at least one. I can't really think of one though. Metropolis? That's a silent film, right? Why do people hate on Burger King? Do people hate on Burger King? I've watched the whole original Birth of a Nation. Oh yeah, that movie. I feel like they made me watch that. I took a couple of film classes in college, and I think they made us watch that, if I'm not mistaken. because you know, it's obviously it's like one of the most racist movies ever made, but it also like pioneered a lot of film techniques. What's your favorite color in food? My favorite colors are orange and purple. My favorite food is probably chicken fingers, but it kind of changes over time. Like sometimes, like I recently got out of a taco phase. I was eating tacos like every day for a good like 3 months. But, and I know chicken fingers is a very like childish answer, but I mean, it's just, it is what it is. They're just delicious. You can go to any restaurant in the world and order chicken fingers and they're probably going to be good. Nah, I mean, it's already bad enough that I like orange so much, Jay. I did not know there was going to be a remake of The Crow. I'm not like a huge fan of The Crow. It's kind of a silly movie, but I guess it's kind of a cult classic. I keep looking up at my camera because it's kind of precariously positioned right now because I kind of have a lazy setup. I didn't set it up as carefully as I could, and I'm hoping it doesn't fall. It looks like it's steady, but I also really like fried rice. That's really one of my favorite things to eat. I've been trying to eat healthier lately though, so I haven't had any of that stuff in a while. Orange and purple. I'm not a are you a Clemson Tiger? No, ironically, I'm an Alabama fan, and I have to be careful who I say my favorite colors to. I also really red and crimson. Those are great colors too, but my favorite, like if you go to my YouTube channel, everything is orange and purple. Like my logo is orange and purple, the channel art is orange and purple, a lot of the thumbnails are orange and purple. I just really like those colors. How am I doing today? I'm doing pretty good. I'm getting over a cold, so I'm a little groggy in that way, but I'm okay. Sting ripped off the Crow. He did, but it's cool. Sting is actually like probably my favorite wrestler ever. In fact, I like Sting more than I like the Crow. I hate that it's silly criticism. You can apply that to anything. A kid befriending an alien robot in the 50s, that's silly. Yeah, I mean, I was kind of, it's just kind of a shorthand for more detailed criticism that I didn't feel like saying. I guess I should say it's stupid. I guess that's more what I meant, but I was trying to be nice. Like, I think something can be silly, but it should also, like, within the established rules of its own universe, it should feel like it makes sense. I don't know if the Crow accomplishes that. Art student of Elios, thanks for stopping by. Who's gonna win the English Premier League? No idea. But we can all agree that The Crow 2 is much worse than The Crow 1. Hopefully we can all agree with that. Yeah, Brandon Lee did die. I'm not sure if the movie would have been better if he didn't die, but yeah, that's a pretty tragic story. In fact, I think the fact that he died is part of why anybody still talks about the movie. I kind of feel like that would have been a very forgettable movie that no one talks about if that didn't happen. I could be wrong though. Benny, thanks for the 5. Favorite horror movie? Favorite horror movie is probably The Shining. Also, It Follows is really good. I'm a big fan of the original Texas Chainsaw Massacre too, but I think It Follows and The Shining. I historically have not been a huge horror person, but lately I've been trying to get back into it, and I've started to appreciate it a lot more. But the problem is in my opinion, most horror movies are not good, because they're more about the experience of horror than they are about being a good movie. Which is fine, you know. You can say that about a lot of movies. You can say that about action movies and other stuff too. But when they are good, they can be very good. I'm trying to think of. I think there's got to be other ones that. I know there are some other ones that I think are really good, but they're not coming to mind right now. FD said a few days ago that would love a Mass Effect show after watching The Last of Us. Is there a game you want a good television adaptation? I don't know. A Mass Effect show actually does sound like a good idea. The first thing that came to my mind was Metal Gear Solid, but I actually don't know if that would make a good TV show. Like, I feel like that maybe needed to be a video game and nothing else. I don't know. I'm trying to think. I can't really think of anything that just really pops out right now. So I played either Knights of the Old Republic 1 or 2, and if so, what are your thoughts on them? I believe I played them a long time ago, but I don't really remember. I remember them being good, but I don't really remember any details about the game. Assassin's Creed, yeah, that could work. I like the original Nightmare on Elm Street and Suspiria. Yeah, definitely classics. I've never seen Suspiria. There are a lot of horror movies that I like that I acknowledge are not good movies, but they're fun to watch. And I put the original Nightmare on Elm Street in that one. I mean, I guess it's a good movie. I don't know. But like most of the Jason movies are like that. Especially Jason X. I think Jason X has the biggest gap between how good it is and how much I like it, because it's a terrible movie, but I love it. It's so fun. I get the Nightmare movies kind of mixed up because there's a bunch of them and a lot of them are really bad. So I might be like, you know, mixing things up and thinking of the really bad ones and placing that on the ones that aren't bad. Because I know a couple of them are not that bad, but some of them are just real bad. Like the one where he puts the kid in a video game. Like, what the hell is going on with that? Would you want a reboot of a sitcom you've watched? And if so, which ones? A reboot? I mean, there are shows that I wish there was more of, but I don't. Sometimes it's like, does that need to exist? Like, it would be cool if they did a reboot of Parks and Recreation. I really like that show, but it's like, does that really need to exist? Probably not. Don't you just have complete disgust for the losers who watch streams on YouTube? I mean, well, unfortunately, all of my fans are on YouTube, so. But shout outs to holding it down on Twitch. And yeah, for those that don't know, I'm streaming on both YouTube and Twitch right now. So if you have a Twitch account, if you prefer the Twitch live experience, you can do that. But all of my followers are on YouTube, so I can't be a Twitch streamer. At least not now. Am I YouTube famous? What does it mean? What's the definition of being YouTube famous? I agree that Parks and Rec is better than The Office, but The Office is really good too. It depends on what you're into, really. I think they're both good. What are your thoughts on reboots, remakes, remasters? I mean, I give anything a chance. I don't, if, like I said, some things don't need to exist, but if they give it a shot, maybe it'll work. Who knows? I don't really have a general opinion of them. I think they work sometimes and sometimes they don't work. Like, I watched an episode of the Night Court reboot. It's actually fine. It's not bad. When they rebooted Roseanne, it was good. Obviously Roseanne kind of went off the deep end and they turned it into the Connors, but it's, the show's good, so it can work. Not a sitcom, but Brandon Small needs to make more home movies. That would be cool, actually. I think that's a good answer to that. Home movies. Just dropping in to say I love your content. I super support your content. Focus, pivot. Just make videos that make you happy, and folks like us will continue showing up. I appreciate that. Thank you. Yeah, the overall people have been supportive of the content pivot. There are a couple people that are disappointed, which is understandable, but I don't know. I think if you make a good video, people will watch it. No matter what it's about. Just make a good video. That's my theory. Can you get an autograph one day? I guess if you really want one. We need an NCIS Texas. Why not both though? What? Why not both? What? What were we talking about? I don't remember the context. Where's my phone? Oh, why not both YouTube and Twitch? Well, I am streaming on both YouTube and Twitch. But I mean, maybe I don't understand the question. These there's so many questions being asked. Sometimes I lose the context. But I have way more followers on YouTube, so I focus on YouTube. But when I stream on Twitch as well. By the way, have the recent Dungeons and Dragons Wizards of the Coast shenanigans affected any of your D&D games? If so, how? No, not really. You know, I think at least I and at least one of my other players sort of kept up with the news. But none of us create content or make money from D&D, so it doesn't really affect us. And the other players barely even paid attention to what's going on, so it didn't really affect us. You had a little beef with Hassan? We didn't have a beef. He just reacted to one of my videos and commented on some of the stuff that I said, and then I commented back, and we disagreed on some few things and agreed on some few things. It wasn't a beef. You know, the stream is missing bullet time. How would that work? Susan would just get step down. Will things change? Possibly. I don't know really. Sometimes things change when there's a new CEO, and sometimes they don't. You plan at all to make content concerning video games sometimes in the nearest future, or do you plan on sticking to shows and the like? I will make content about anything that I think is interesting. So video games can definitely fall into that category. I just have to come up with or find an interesting story. Home Movies gets less squiggle vision after season 1, which puts some people off. Yeah, it's fine though. I think the show's still like good throughout. YouTube changes so much that I feel who's in charge isn't going to hit the radar. Yeah, probably. But I don't know. This new guy that is going to be the CEO, apparently he's into NFTs, and I hope he doesn't make NFTs some kind of major part of or crypto a major part of YouTube, because that's super cringe. That's the only thing that's kind of interesting. Also, apparently it was his idea to remove dislikes. I don't know if that's true, but that's what I've heard. I was actually in favor of removing dislikes, but you know, if that was his idea, maybe he's got some other ideas. NFTs are still a thing that people are taking seriously. Yeah, there is a segment of the population that are still fucking with NFTs. How do I feel about Elon taking over Twitter? I don't know, man. There's a lot to say. I think it's very clear that Elon kind of had no idea what he was doing when he bought Twitter. And most of the changes that he has made have been bad. But the thing is, Twitter was already kind of bad to begin with before he got there. So it's like, what are you doing? Like, who cares really? How I thought of streaming there. I don't, not really. I don't even really know how to stream on Twitter. I know you can do like Twitter Spaces and stuff like that. I never even looked into it. But I don't know. I kind of hate Twitter. I'm considering just not using Twitter anymore, except to just promote my videos, and that's it. I honestly kind of go through phases where I kind of stop reading Twitter, and I'm kind of starting another phase where I just don't read it anymore. I just post, but I don't read it. Reading any interesting books lately? I just finished reading Lindsay Ellis's first book called Axiom's End. It was quite entertaining. I'm not sure what I'm gonna read next. A content creator called Magdalene Rose just wrote a book. I might read that next. I don't know if you guys are familiar. Some of you probably might be familiar with Magdalene Rose, but she just wrote a book. She just released a book, and I might read that next. I have to take frequent breaks from Twitter. I think that's good. Twitter is bad. I mean, I justify it by saying that Twitter is... only reason I use Twitter is because it's good for my career. But I mean, it's like, has it been that good for my career? I don't know. Really, the reason I that I use Twitter is because I just like to say shit into the internet and get instant validation. That's really the only reason that I use Twitter. There's not really a better way to do that. Sure, SM7B or Electro Voice. I've never used Electro Voice, but I mean, this mic right here is fucking amazing. The SM7B. It's the GOAT mic. I read from hell. Lindsay Ellis's second book is also super fun. Very different tone from the first one. Okay. Yeah, I mean, I'll definitely read it at some point. But yeah, the first one was a page turner for real. I judged Goosebumps books by their covers back in the day. Yes, I mean, some of them had some really good covers. Do I have any specific preference over the tone of a book you read? More jovial tone over serious ones? I don't think I have a preference. I just want it to be entertaining. I just want it to be good. I think a lot of books, a lot of novels have a lot of what I would consider filler. Like, a lot of novels are really boring, and I think there's a certain type of person who's like a quote unquote reader who's able to sit through the boring parts so they can get to the good parts, but I'm not that person. Like, if I have to read a couple of pages of like just stuff that's not interesting, I'm just not gonna read the book. And I think a lot of novels have that, and I feel like audiences have just like accepted that, but I can't keep up with a book like that. So that's the only thing that I care about. It's like, make it interesting, and if it's not interesting, just cut it out the book, cut out the bad parts. Maybe this comes from my status as a YouTuber, because as a YouTuber you eventually learn that you have to cut out the boring parts of the video. People, I mean, I say this, I was gonna say, you know, people don't want to sit through a whole bunch of nonsense, but you know, people get away with making like 2-hour videos and stuff. But I bet if you go in their YouTube analytics, even if a lot of people watched the video, I bet most of them did not watch the whole video. So maybe that just comes from that, but I don't know. A lot of novels are boring in my opinion. But you know, books can be sad, books can be serious, books can be funny, and still interesting. Is your microphone for goats or from goats? Not sure if serious. I've not read any Steven Pinker. Can we ever get a backstory in your name? Are you still a janitor? If you want the backstory, you can go to YouTube and search for a video called "Why Am I Called the One Janitor?" I am not a janitor, and I never have been a janitor. Do you remember what the last piece of media that made an emotional connection with you and made you cry? I'm trying to think. I'm trying to even think of what media that I have witnessed. I don't know. I can't even think of anything. I'm drawing a blank. I didn't cry, but I've been having an emotional reaction to the most recent Dimension 20 season called Never After, which is a D&D play show, if you don't know what that is. And it's kind of like a fairy tale horror campaign, and there's been some pretty intense moments in it. It didn't make me cry though, but I've definitely had emotional reactions. That's kind of the first thing that comes to mind. Have you read any books that you thought would be better on the silver screen? Better? I don't know. Probably not. I haven't seen Last of Us. But everyone seems to like it. Have I ever read the appendices of The Lord of the Rings? No, I've never read The Lord of the Rings. I own The Lord of the Rings, and that's an example of a book that is boring, and a book that I did not read because it was boring. Guardians of the Galaxy 2 nearly made me cry. Oh yeah, I can see that. Do I keep up with the MCU these days? I do keep up with the MCU. It is like the main thing that I keep up with, actually. I am an old school comic book fan. I've always been into comic books. So I have been waiting for this MCU shit my whole life. I'm here for it, and I probably will always be here for it. Obviously, the movies vary in quality, but I think most of them are good. Most of them are good to great. A couple of them are so-so, and like maybe 2 or 3 of them are bad. But yeah, overall, I'm a big fan of it. I'm going to see Quantumania probably in a couple of days. I never go on opening night. That's not my jam. I'm not trying to deal with the crowd. I usually go on like a Tuesday. Not a big fan of Peter Jackson. You think they're too pretty? Wow. Too pretty. Lord of the Rings is one piece of pop culture that I am clueless about. I've never read the book and I've never seen the movies. I think that might be the biggest disconnect I have with like Western culture is the Lord of the Rings. I have no clue. I have no clue what that's about. I did try to read the book, but it was too boring. Oh yeah, Ben, you could probably tell the backstory of the name. I don't know. Could you? It's the thing is, it's not that interesting of a story. It wasn't like this big, grandstanding thing that I decided. It's just, it was very random. So I don't know if I even told anybody. Andy Serkis' Gollum was fucking brilliant. Yeah, Andy Serkis is just good in everything that he does. That's cool that The Last of Us seems to be hitting well with people, because you just never know when they do like these adaptations. Especially video game adaptations. But I think now that TV series, and especially like short series, like, you know, 10 or less episodes for a season, I think that really fits well for adapting video games. It's strange that you play D&D and don't like The Lord of the Rings, as the books influenced the game. Sure, I don't dislike The Lord of the Rings, I'm just ignorant of it. But so I think when it comes to D&D, I think a lot of players, especially older players, got into D&D through their love of like fantasy novels and things like that. But I think a lot of the newer school players got into D&D through their love of things like video games, and I'm probably in the latter category. For example, I love World of Warcraft, which is kind of like D&D the video game, and it's like influenced from both D&D and fantasy novels like The Lord of the Ring. But I've been playing World of Warcraft for, you know, like 12 years or something. So that's more of my introduction to the fantasy type of setting. Any particular animating medium that you find to be most interesting? Claymation, animatics. Most interesting? I don't know. I mean, I appreciate it all. I mean, I guess I enjoy just the good old fashioned 2D animation. Whenever someone makes a really good 2D animated show or a movie, I tend to think that's really cool. Especially if it has like really good animation. A lot of times I think animation they cut a lot of corners with 2D animation these days, but when they like put work into it, which is rare these days because everything's computers, but you know, I appreciate all of it. Favorite sports game you've ever watched? You mean like a live sports game? Like an individual game? I don't know. Evan Winters, The Fires of Vengeance. I don't know about that, no. But yeah, eventually I want to check out more books. What TTRPG systems have you tried besides D&D, and which ones do you really like? I think I remember you playing a vampire campaign. Yeah, I did play a vampire campaign. I streamed a Vampire the Masquerade campaign with some friends. It was really cool. It's really fun. I played Call of Cthulhu. I've played Kids on Bikes. I've played what's the other one called? I can't remember. But yeah, the main ones that I played are Vampire and Call of Cthulhu and Kids on Bikes. Actually, Kids on Brooms, but Kids on Brooms is based on Kids on Bikes. Favorite individual game? I mean that's really hard to pick an individual game because there's so many games and so many sports. I can't remember the year, but I remember the playoffs with the Bulls versus the Pacers. They went to Game 7. That was pretty memorable for me. I can't remember what year that was, but I remember that, and I believe it went down to the wire, if I remember correctly. Have you tried Pathfinder? I have not tried Pathfinder. I'm sort of hesitant to try Pathfinder because I might be just hating a little bit, but it's like, isn't Pathfinder just D&D? It's just like a revised version of D&D. And it's like, I already play D&D. Like, why would I play like a slightly different version of D&D? But I don't know, maybe I can be convinced. What are your thoughts on mereological nihilism? I don't know what that is. Maybe if you explain what it is, I can tell you what my thoughts on it are. What are your top 3 cryptocurrencies? I'm not really into crypto. Other than making banger videos, have you tried other ways of expressing your creativity interests? Well, running a D&D game is a great way to express creativity. I used to make music. I haven't really done that lately, although I've been talking to my brother about maybe trying to make some more music. I used to draw a lot. I don't do that much either, which is kind of sad because that used to be kind of the main thing that I did. But I kind of just replaced that with the videos. So yeah, I've always been a very artsy, creative person. So I've tried a lot of different things. Alabama versus Tennessee. Oh yeah, when Cody blocked the kick. That was a pretty hype moment. I remember I was screaming when that happened. Yeah, Benny and I and my brother and some other people, we used to make hip hop music, and some of it was quite good, actually, I would say. I mean, my brother is still involved in music. My brother's like super talented. He's like a producer and engineer and stuff like that. Do I have any of my drawings nearby? I don't think so. I was thinking my sketch pad might be around here somewhere. Wait, I have a sketch pad. I used to draw like cartoons and comics and stuff. Oh, let me see something. There might not be anything worth showing in here. I used to, so like I said, I used to be really into comic books, so I used to draw superheroes and stuff all the time. This is a picture of She-Hulk. Can you see this? It's too bright. Wait, go down. I don't know, it's too bright. It's a pencil drawing of She-Hulk, which, you know, not to be a hipster, but I was into She-Hulk before it was cool to be into She-Hulk. My lights are making it too bright though. Trying to see if there's one with like darker lines. Yeah, there's not really anything in here that's worth showing. Is there anything I'm not good at? Yeah, there's plenty of things I'm not good at. I'm not good at tennis. I love that mug. Yeah, it's a good mug. I just bought it actually. It was kind of an impulse buy. I was at Walmart and I was like, hey, that mug is cool. And I like a big mug because I like to fill it with water, and it just encourages me to drink a lot of water. Do people ask you why you don't have a Southern accent? Because I don't have one either, and I'm from Texas. Yeah, people ask me that all the time. I think the main reason I don't have a Southern accent is because neither my mom nor dad are from the South. We just happen to end up here. But a Southern accent wasn't used in the home, so I didn't develop one. You should check out Masks. Yeah, Masks is also based on Kids on Bikes. Powered by the Apocalypse, that's what they're called, but it's a similar system. So yeah, I've played Kids on Bikes, and I played Kids on Brooms, which is powered by the Apocalypse, and Mask is also powered by the Apocalypse, I believe, if I'm not mistaken. I might have actually, I might have some stuff online. Hold on, let me see if I can do this. It's just like a sketch. It's just like a sketch of She-Hulk. But actually this will show you that I'm not lying about being into comics and not just trying to like ride the MCU bandwagon. And also forgive me because I was a young boy and I like to draw big-breasted comic book women. I was really into that. Let's see if I can find it. I tweeted some old drawings. That's what I'm looking for right now. Um, display capture. Oh no, Mass is the other one. Yeah, no. Okay, my bad. There's a superhero one for Powered by the Apocalypse. I thought maybe not. Yeah, no. Mask is like it's like Monster Hearts. I get those confused. That's my bad. So this was what I was trying to show before. She-Hulk. I drew that like, I don't know, like the early 2000s or something. I don't know how well that's showing up, but yeah. It's not super good, but it's okay. I used to also draw like comic strips and stuff. But yeah, that's the kind of stuff I used to draw. I have some other like bigger pieces of art, but they're not nearby. Mass is Powered by the Apocalypse, but I thought that Kids on Bikes was Powered by the Apocalypse, but Kids on Bikes is not Powered by the Apocalypse. I get those mixed up. I think I've played Powered by the Apocalypse, but not Mass. I think I played other games that are Powered by the Apocalypse. I discovered that system through Critical Role, actually, because they have a Monster Hearts one shot on their channel, which is super good. It's like really cool, and I really enjoyed it. It's like one of my favorite one shots they've done. I probably used to draw Ninja Turtles too. I want to... Well, here's another thing I'll show you. I used to be... Well, not used to be. I still am. Not quite as much, but I used to be super obsessed with Carmen Sandiego, like the character, and I used to draw her a lot. So this is a picture of Carmen Sandiego. I think it's just such a cool character. So I just used to draw her all the time. Concerning you dissing yourself in politics, is that explicitly for videos or in general when you're online? I'm happy to discuss politics with anyone that wants to have a good faith discussion about politics. So yeah, it's not just like generally online. I probably will still make political comments and stuff. But I don't want to invite political chaos by making videos about it anymore. And if I have political discussions that become combative or annoying, I'm immediately out. I don't have any interest in that anymore. I'm not trying to debate or argue with people anymore. But I'm happy to have discussions that are respectful and good faith. But that is kind of rare on the internet. Any games you've been playing? I got back into Elden Ring so I could finish it. The only games that I've been playing lately are Overwatch 2 and Street Fighter 5. And chess, if you count that. A friend of mine let me borrow one of the Fire Emblem games. I don't even know which one. I may start playing that at some point. I might do some game streaming. We'll see. The problem is whenever I stream games, nobody watches because most people who subscribe to me did not subscribe because of video games. But that's not a big deal. I mean, it's not the worst thing in the world if not that many people watch. Will balloons start World War III? Probably not, but who knows? Someone made a whole song about that. McDonald's or Burger King? Burger King. Fries or chips? Probably fries. Watermelon or apple? Apple. What countries have you visited? Pretty much none as an adult. I was born in Germany, but I left there when I was 2 years old. And I have visited Panama. I think that's it. But I was like 6 or something when I visited Panama. Do you have a method of balancing work, personal life, or do you go with the flow? I basically, it's hard to say because my work is online. So a lot of my work is kind of interacting. It's kind of blends with my interactions with people. But one thing that I do is I don't work on weekends. Like I generally don't work on weekends at all. Like weekends are for hanging out with friends and leisure and stuff like that. And that's just kind of a thing that I always give myself that. But you know, I'm in a position where I get to choose my own schedule. So, not everybody has that. And also my job is cool. Like it doesn't stress me out really. I think a lot of people use their downtime to sort of recuperate and get some time for themselves, but I don't really need to do that. So I use my weekends for fun and leisure and hang out with friends and stuff as much as possible. Apartment or house? I mean, probably having a house is better, but I've never had a house, so I don't know. How important is networking as a YouTuber? Well, it depends on what your goals are, but networking is good in probably every career, especially YouTube. For better or for worse, who you know is often better than what you know. And that continues to be true for YouTube. I'm randomly subscribed to you. What is your channel about? My channel is about interesting stories. Well, my channel has evolved over time, so it's about a lot of different stuff if you go back through the history of it. But currently, it's about interesting stories about media and pop culture and just things in the world that I think are interesting. What are your thoughts on the Panama Canal? I honestly don't even remember the story about the Panama Canal. I used to know what that, like, how that worked, but I can't remember. I'm sure if you talk about it, it will refresh my memory, but that is something that I have not thought about in like 20 years. Has a nightmare ever made you wake up screaming? Probably when I was a kid. I definitely woken up, you know, in a cold sweat from nightmares before. Maybe not literally screaming though. Do you believe that the war in Ukraine is the proxy war between the USA and Russia? I have no idea. You know, I've talked about this before, but I really do not feel qualified to comment on like the politics of war and like foreign policy and things like that. That just seems to be so complex, and I would be suspicious of anyone who claims to be an expert on that or who claims to know what they're talking about when it comes to stuff like that, because it's like impossibly complex. I feel like the only people who know what's going on are the people that are directly involved with it. How do I choose video topics? Do I keep a list? I do keep a list. I think probably every YouTuber has a list of video topics somewhere, like on their phone or in a notepad or something like that. I have a very, very long list of topics, most of which I'll probably never make, but it's just one of those things, whenever you get an idea, you write it down. As for which ones I choose, it's just really, is this an interesting story? Or at least that's my current criteria. Is this an interesting story? And also, is this an interesting story that hasn't been talked about 1,000 times already? If I recall correctly, there was a revolution in Panama backed by US. US wanted to make canal and enforce it militarily. Yeah, I mean, I vaguely remember, you know, it was a US backed project. And actually, the reason that I visited Panama is because my mom and her family is from Panama, and the U.S. Like my mom and a lot of her family was able to gain permanent residence in the United States, and I think the reason they were able to do that was because of the relationship between the U.S. and Panama, because it's quite hard, if not impossible now, for an immigrant to be granted permanent residence without attaining citizenship. I don't even know if you can do that anymore. So I'm probably going to stream for just maybe like 30 more minutes because I do got some stuff to do. I'm actually gonna wash my car today. Pretty excited about it. Go back to the politics thing though. I feel a lot less confident in my my political information because I'm less engaged in politics. Like I can sort of give my vague thoughts on things, but I feel a lot less informed than I used to be, which is kind of sad because I think being informed is really important, but also, you know, being happy is really important, and you know, being super engaged in politics does not make me that happy. So it's it's kind of a balance. But you know, as I said, I'm always down to have a good faith, respectful conversation. There's both a way to boost trade between Pacific Atlantic Oceans as well as power projection because of how daunting a task it was. Yeah, I mean, that sounds about right. If A learns to replicate itself, are we doomed? What do you mean by replicate itself? I would think that it probably can already replicate itself. Like if you create an AI program, could that AI program create another AI program? Probably. It seems like they could. Do you think that U.S. voters should also have in mind U.S. foreign policy when they vote because the whole world is influenced by their decisions? Well, like I was saying before, foreign policy is just really complex. I think you can have very general ideas of that, but I don't know, it's just hard to say. You know, like for example, I'm generally anti-war. That's just like a general moral principle that I have. But you can't be like, I'm not gonna vote for anyone if they have any inclination to ever go to war, because that just seems impractical. But you could say, I'm not going to vote for someone because they seem to be a warmonger and someone who wants to just go around the world, you know, warring with other countries. So I think you can think about it in a very general way, but foreign policy is just, I think it's too complex. I mean, politics in general is complex, but specifically that, because you're dealing with other countries and other countries' politics and other countries' way of life. I don't know, it gets too in the weeds. Currently running a channel trying to figure out how to approach other creators for collabs. Any advice? So, I I would say don't ask people to do work. If you want to get collabs, it needs to be something easy for them to do. So if you ask them to do work, that's probably not going to work because they have their own shit to do. Make sure that it's something good. If it just comes off, if it comes off as you trying to leech off of a larger creator's success, that's probably going to be cringe and you might get ignored. So maybe try to, I mean, you didn't specify that you're trying to work with larger creators, but if you are trying to work with larger creators, that's something to think about. Yeah, make sure it's something interesting. Like if it's just some kind of random video that you're trying to get collabs on, I don't know. But if it's like something, a really cool idea, that's more likely to do it. Try to think of something that person would specifically be interested in, or something that benefits that person. Those are the things that come to mind. I think the main thing is don't ask someone to do work for you, unless you're gonna pay them. Like if you're gonna pay them, then sure. But if you're not gonna pay them, it needs to be very little, like least path of least resistance for them. If you want them to work with you, that's kind of the main thing. Or at least, you know, they might be willing to do work, but I would say don't broach the topic. It's like, hey, will you write 1,000 words and record and edit it for me, please? Like, don't ask people to do stuff like that. And also, don't be offended if someone says no or if someone ignores you. Like, people are busy, you know? People got their own shit to do. Like, I have almost no time. I have almost no time to do anything except my own videos. So if someone isn't able to do it, don't be offended by that. Like, people just people got their own shit to do. Just keep trying until someone says yes. You could also try to find like creator communities where other people are looking for collaborations. Like you might find something on Reddit. There's several YouTube creator communities on Reddit where there seems to be a lot of enthusiastic people looking for collaborations. But of course you have to find someone that wants to make the type of video that you want to make as well. Very fair perspective of political discussion, especially when most of the time it boils down to what are your exact thoughts on a niche perspective without prior prep, such as my question. Yeah. I don't know. I think that a lot of creators, I feel like they either want people to think or feel like they have to be experts on everything, and there's kind of a pressure to do that when you make political videos, because, you know, theoretically someone can say, oh well, they don't know what they're talking about on X subject, so why should I trust them on Y subject? And obviously that's not a reasonable way to go about it, but I understand why you might be pressured to do that. Like, and I'm just kind of like over that. Like, I don't feel, I mean, I never really felt like I needed to be an expert on everything, but I always felt like I needed to have an answer to something, but it's like, I don't know, man. There's a lot of stuff I just don't know. There's a lot of stuff that I have not looked into. And especially now, I'm just less politically engaged than I used to be. But like, yeah, a lot of these like successful streamers, I feel like, and successful YouTubers, I would be surprised if you asked them a question and they answered, I don't know. I feel like they need to be experts on everything. But I mean, I do like to think about political subjects, and I have thought about a lot of things already. So there are some things that I already know how I feel about it. But sometimes I just don't know. What movies do you think set the tone for how a genre is going to be for the next few years? Like Napoleon Dynamite set the tone for the type of comedy going to the 2010s. Any horror or action movies? Sure, I mean, there's lots of examples of that. Like there was like Scream, for example, in the horror genre, kind of rebooted the slasher genre. The success of the MCU has sort of created a whole new era of superhero and superhero adjacent movies. I think even so obviously there's like DC, but even stuff like The Kingsman I think wouldn't exist without the success of the MCU. You could argue maybe even Fast and the Furious, but obviously the Fast and the Furious, does it precede Iron Man? I'm not even sure, but they kind of came up around the same time. But I think that sort of has superhero vibes as well. Who are you? I'm T1J. Hello. Is there more pressure from the black community to be engaged in politics? One would think that there's an expectation from an African American to be into local politics. Is there more pressure? I don't know if there's more pressure. I think, well, it depends on where you live, but I think often the black community is less engaged in politics than other people. I think a lot of black people are disillusioned with politics. This is why the black vote is so important to politicians, because black people often don't vote. And so if you can get them to vote, that can really swing an election. Hello from Ireland. Hello. When you discuss media in your videos, other times when you find it difficult to separate creator from creation, especially if they're heavily intertwined. I mean, there are times sometimes, but I'm a huge proponent of separating the creator from their creation. So I'm perfectly willing and able to do that, but there are some times where it is very intertwined. I mean, the half, well, I was gonna say it's half joking, but it's not even joking, but it is kind of, it's kind of weird. The example that I used to give is R. Kelly. I never really made a video about R. Kelly, but R. Kelly is a very talented person. But it's very hard to listen to R. Kelly's music now. Because, at least for me, I always imagine that he's singing about little girls, and that makes it very awkward to listen to. So that's a good example of the creator being so intertwined in their creation that it's hard to separate the two. Will I watch MJ biopic? I don't know. Maybe. I don't have anything against it. I heard that privileged white people are usually not into politics because they never had to fight. I don't know. I don't know if that's true. I'm a new subscriber, not super familiar with their content, but I always love seeing people who look like me making videos. My sub list has too many blue-eyed people in it at the moment. Well, I appreciate that. Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of good black creators out there, but I am happy to be among the people that folks like to watch. Iron Man came out 7 years later than Fast and Furious. I figured. I didn't realize it was that big of a gap, but yeah. And then after I truly believe the MCU influenced the Fast and Furious franchise. What are your thoughts on PragerU/PragerU kids? So, admittedly, I have not watched PragerU in a while, but last I checked, PragerU was pretty awful. Like, it's a lot of it has been just straight up misinformation. Like, sometimes it's just straight up non-factual information, and when it's not that, it's just kind of conservative propaganda. I don't think it's very useful. I don't find it very I don't think it contains any beneficial information. It's just pure propaganda from what I've seen. And there's some people have made some good videos dissecting PragerU. Sean comes to mind. He made a good video about PragerU, I believe. But yeah, it's quite bad. I've never seen PragerU Kids, and that is terrifying to me that they have a kids version. Ass or tits? Why not both? I mean, everybody works with what they're working with. Big Joel, I may be thinking of Big Joel, or maybe Big Joel and Sean did. Do you feel like there is a how to win the black vote sometimes gets a how to win the Latino vote with a weird generational identity issue? I don't know if I understand the question. Do you feel like there is a how to win the black vote? Is there a word missing in that sentence? I don't know what I don't get it. My bad. But yeah. What time is it? Probably stream about 10 more minutes. I'm interested in celebs running for president. I mean, if they have good ideas and seem to know what they're talking about, then sure, it doesn't matter. I'm more interested in the ideas, I guess. Although, you know, there is something to be said about someone who has experience in politics, but these days I don't know if that really means anything, because politicians are like all trash. So it's like, having been involved in politics doesn't necessarily mean that you're gonna be a good candidate. Like first gen born and raised isn't the same as third gen born Latino. Well, yeah, I mean, yeah, I think that's true. The different generations are less. I mean, a great example is with black people and Democrats. I think in the past, at least in the 90s and before, or like from the 70s to the 90s, Democrats reliably had the black vote, I think. But I think it's less reliable now with the younger people. I don't know that much about Latino people and how they vote. I think they usually vote Democrat, but I know a lot of Latino people are Christians and they might like Republicans for that reason. But the younger people, I think, are a little bit different. So I don't know. I mean, there might be something to that. Nu metal or pop punk? Honestly, if I personally had to choose, I would choose nu metal. I'm not that into pop punk. There's some that I like. I mean, I like Fall Out Boy. But when I think of like growing up listening to nu metal, a lot of shit was tight, bro. Korn went hard. But I don't know. I have a lot of friends that really love pop punk, and I truly don't get it. It's probably because I just didn't grow up listening to it. I don't have the nostalgic attachment to pop punk. And I did grow up listening to nu metal like Slipknot and Korn and Limp Bizkit and shit like that. Howdy from Texas. What's up? Miss your deep dives on topics. We'll love to hear a deep sense on people blaming their extreme views on others pushing them. Like, is it true or just a post ad hoc analysis? Yeah, you mean like the idea of when people say like, oh, I became a conservative because of lefties being mean to me, stuff like that. GOP is making major headway in the Latino communities in the South, specifically because of the religious connection. Dems for too long rested on immigrants are liberal. Yeah. And this is a problem because, I mean, the Democrats are just so ineffectual in general. And this is probably going to be a huge problem, because if they don't do more to attract people of color and immigrants, that means Republicans are just going to win more. And as annoying as the Democrats are, we need them to beat the Republicans. At least in my opinion, we need them to beat the Republicans. I think the Republicans are terrible. POD, yeah, for sure. Do I know much about the southern border concerns? Hearing what's happening in places like Yuma makes me think that more radicalized actions are likely to take place. I don't really know that much about it, actually. There's a major divide between American-born Latinos and their parents. As in, are the parents more conservative? Is that what you're saying? Is the termination of the Department of Education a serious topic, or is it Republicans posturing? I think the Republicans are willing to do anything. I don't think anything is out of the question for the Republicans. much more conservative. Yeah. It's an interesting thing. I think I think a lot of older immigrants are. It's a lot different from, or it can be different from black people. Like compared, like black Americans compared to other immigrants, other non-white immigrants. I think non-white immigrants are more likely to be conservative, especially the older ones. My Mexican-born parents both voted for Bush in 2000 because as religious people, they were grossed out by the Clinton whiskey affair and saw Gore as an extension of the same. Yeah, that was a big problem for Gore, for sure. Which is interesting. People still debate it to this day because Gore tried to completely distance himself from Clinton, if I remember correctly. But some people think that he should have utilized Clinton's support. It's hard to say. I mean, I was like, what, 13 or something when that happened, so I'm not sure, but I do remember people talking about that. Not 13, maybe like 16. But yeah. Yeah, presidential elections are always kind of a circus. It's hard to tell what's going on. I find local elections and elections for Congress and Senate a lot more interesting. I feel like the presidential election is just a big, like, weird fashion show, like a weird popularity contest where people vote based on really strange things. Not strange things, but things that just don't matter that much or shouldn't matter that much. Migrant crossing through farms and private property is having some private landowners hiring guards. There's also resource concerns in hospitals. Gore lost by distancing from Clinton and desperately needing to swing Florida. And Kerry in 2004 was the worst possible Dem candidate they could have run out against a wartime incumbent. The Democrats are quite bad at picking candidates, it seems. I think Joe Biden is... I mean, I'm not saying that Joe Biden was the best candidate, but Joe Biden is like the first candidate they picked that could, like, had a chance of winning. I mean, I guess Hillary Clinton had a chance of winning, but she was so unpopular. But you know, I think that was just kind of like a Clinton entitlement type of thing. I feel like Hillary Clinton believed that she deserved to be the president or something. But yeah, the Democrats historically have been pretty bad at picking candidates, at least in my lifetime. Hey T1J, what was the first television moment you remember watching growing up that just gut punched the audience with a serious topic that just stayed with you like from a sitcom? The first one? I don't know if I remember the very first one, but I can think of a lot of them. I remember... This one that comes to mind definitely wasn't the first one, but I remember the last episode of Roseanne, where, because if you remember the last season of Roseanne, they win the lottery and they get rich and a bunch of shit happens. But on the last episode, they revealed that they didn't actually get rich. It was just all in Roseanne's imagination, and they were actually still poor, and Dan died. And it was just a really fucking depressing ending. And I was like, God damn, Roseanne. Just wanted to pop in and say thanks for the awesome, thoughtful, and well-spoken content. You have made me consider the world from many angles I didn't before. Hope you're having a good one. Thank you very much. What's your favorite color? My favorite colors are orange and purple. What song did you overplay that you can't listen to anymore? Mine is Smells Like Teen Spirit. That's a good one, actually. Bohemian Rhapsody is a good example for me. I mean, I truly love that song. It is maybe my favorite song ever, but I've listened to it way too much. It's kind of annoying if I hear it now. Biden was the smartest choice they made in a long time. Hillary was disliked by a major chunk of the people she thought would blindly vote for her, which was college-educated white women. Yeah. And now Rosanna's making incredibly hack comedy specials. Yeah, I saw a clip of one of her stand-up shows recently. It's like, what are you doing, Roseanne? Anyway, guys, I actually do have to go. But thanks everyone for coming to check out the stream. I am going to try to stream more often. I kind of have like a new content strategy, and part of that content strategy is making more streaming content. It's really fun to do, and it's more than just content strategy. It's just doing shit that I like strategy, and I like streaming. So I'm gonna try to do it more. But yeah, that's all I have to say. Keep an eye out for the end of the month. I have a new video dropping. I think next Friday. So yeah. And by the way, if you haven't noticed, I always have a new video on the last Friday of every month. So just keep that in mind if you're ever wondering when the next T1J video is coming out. It's always the last Friday of the month. Stream content is great for making shorts. Absolutely. That's part of the strategy. And also just maybe making longer videos too, maybe not just shorts. But yeah, that's part of the strategy. But I like shorts. I mean, you sound kind of like cynical when you say it. YouTube now requires. But I like shorts. I don't have a problem with them. But I know some people kind of find them annoying. Anyway, thanks for checking out the stream. I do want to plug my Discord. If you just want a chill community to have discussions like this with, you can check out my Discord. Does this command still work? I don't know if this command works. Oh, it does work. Cool. Check out the Discord. I'm actually pretty active on the Discord, so you can talk to me. You can tag me if you want to talk to me there. I would say follow me on Twitter, but Twitter is trash. I don't really care about Twitter. But yeah, join the Discord. Anyway, I'll see you guys next time. Bye bye.